السلام عليكم شباب، رجعت لكم بحلقة جديدة. اليوم يا شباب راح نشاهد معاكم تقريبا معظم قصص شخصيات سبرنكي. القصة تأليف لكن تحس انها واقعية. اتمنى انكم تستمتعوا بالمقطع. ادعس لايك الان، تأكد انكم فعل جرس التنبيهات، وخلونا نشوف قصة ديربل الحزينة.
Derpel was not always in the world of Sprunki. This is his sad origin story.
ضحك. وش فيك صاير عبيط؟
In a land filled with purple dragons.
واو اوكي.
A little dragon named Derpel
تنين
was
طلع.
born. He was very cute. His scales shone a deep purple, like the sky at dusk. Derpel was very loved by his parents and friends,
اوكي.
who were all happy and kind dragons.
حلو.
The land they lived in was full of music and color.
نايس.
And Derpel grew up happy.
والله
and
دربل
curious,
صحيح علوان احلام.
exploring and playing. In this magical place,
ايوه.
when Derpel was a baby dragon, his world was a wonderful place filled with laughter and songs.
كان في مكان مليء بالاغاني والضحك والحياة السعيدة، يعني اللي هو عايش فيها.
His scales sparkled brightly under the sun, and he spent his days exploring the lush, the beautiful forests that surrounded his home. Derpel was especially playful, always eager to chase the fluttering leaves or pounce on the swirling shadows cast by the clouds above. His parents taught him how to fly, soaring high above the treetops, teaching him the songs of the wind and the dance of the
علموه
stars.
موسيقات الرياح.
Derpel loved these flying lessons. He would giggle with joy,
نايس.
his tiny wings buzzing with excitement, as he tried to catch up with his mother or hide behind the clouds from his father. The evenings were his favorite, as the family would gather to watch the sunset, painting the sky in shades of purple and pink,
اوكي.
singing ancient dragon lullabies that echoed through the mountains. Derpel also had friends among the other young dragons. Together, they would play hide and seek among the giant ferns, or race from one mountain peak to another, their laughter ringing across the valleys. One of his best friends was Mira, a light lavender dragon who was as fast as she was clever. She would often devise new games for them to play, and Derpel adored her inventive spirit. On special nights, the dragons would celebrate the Festival of Lights, where every dragon would light up the sky with their fiery breath, creating a dazzling display of lights
نايس.
that could be seen even from distant lands. These were magical times, filled with joy and community. And Derpel felt like the luckiest dragon in the world to be part of such a wonderful family and circle of friends. These early years were filled with such happiness and beauty, shaping Derpel into a
إلى الآن
joyful
حياة
and
سعيدة.
curious young dragon, surrounded
أكبر
by
شوي
love
هنا.
and laughter, in a world that seemed like it could never change. But
one day
something terrible happened.
في شيء.
A dark comet crossed the sky
What?
as Derpel and his family were preparing to watch the sunset from their favorite mountaintop. The sky suddenly flashed a bright white.
What?
A loud boom echoed through the valleys as a falling star struck their beloved land.
نجم
It was no ordinary star,
ضرب الأرض.
but a fiery comet that brought disaster in its wake. As the
كارثة.
comet hit, the ground shook violently.
مذنب.
Massive volcanoes, long dormant, woke with a furious roar, spewing lava and ash into the air. The
الدنيا
forests
احترقت.
where Derpel and his friends had played, caught fire, sending clouds of smoke billowing into the sky.
Oh my god.
The once vibrant land turned dark and chaotic, filled with noise and terror. Derpel's parents acted swiftly. His father shielded him with his mighty wings, while his mother used her powerful breath to extinguish flames that came too close. They ran, flew, and dodged falling debris, leading
الدنيا صارت
Derpel
كلها
away from
براكين.
their crumbling home. The heat was intense,
Oh
and
my
the
God.
air was thick with ash, making it hard to see and breathe. Through the chaos, Derpel's parents did everything to protect him. They navigated through the dangerous landscape
طلع
of
محاصرة
wiggling
الحين
hot
هو، كيف
lava
ينقذوه؟
flows and falling rocks in a final act of bravery. As a giant fireball descended towards them, Derpel's father pushed him into a small cave that was shielded by an overhanging rock.
بوال
His mother
انحبس
quickly cast a
شكله،
protective spell,
انحبس تحت
sealing
الأرض.
the entrance with a magical barrier
تعويذة.
that shimmered with a faint purple glow. As Derpel huddled inside the cave, he heard the world outside collapsing. The sounds of destruction were terrifying. After what seemed like an eternity,
صار محاصر
the
تحت الكهف.
noises faded, and a dreadful silence took over. When Derpel finally emerged from the cave, shielded by the last of his mother's magic,
طلع
he
الدنيا
found
كلها محطمة.
alone,
صار له حالة وحيد. Oh my god.
was unrecognizable, covered in ash and lava,
كلهم
with
راحوا
no sign
عائلته.
of his parents or any other dragons. Derpel was the only one left.
ظل هو
Saved
الوحيد في هذا
by his
العالم.
parents' love
أمه وأبوه
and
أنقذوه،
quick thinking.
خشوه تحت.
With his home destroyed and his heart heavy with loss, Derpel set out on a sorrowful journey through the devastated land,
ماذا بطير؟
seeking a new place where he could belong
صار يدور
and
على
perhaps
مكان.
find others like him. But deep down he knew his life had changed forever, and he carried the memory of that terrible day as he ventured into the unknown.
أيوة صار يطير.
Derpel was the only purple dragon left. After the catastrophe, Derpel found himself wandering through a drastically changed world. The once vibrant forests were now blackened and bare, the trees charred and the ground littered with ash. With each step, Derpel felt the weight of loneliness. The cheerful chirps and songs that used to fill the air were silenced, replaced by the eerie quiet of desolation. Derpel's journey was long and fraught with challenges. He had to learn to navigate through the remnants of the forest, finding paths where the fire had spared some life. As he moved further from his devastated home, the landscape slowly began to change. He encountered new forests that were not touched by the disaster, but
أوكي.
these places were unfamiliar and daunting, filled with strange sounds and
هذه
unknown
الأماكن يا شباب ما
creatures
تضررت.
that watched him from the shadows.
وين؟
The loneliness weighed heavily on Derpel. He missed the laughter and companionship of his friends and the comforting presence of his parents. Night times were the hardest. Without the familiar warmth of his family, the cold seemed to seep into his bones. He often curled up in the roots of large trees, trying to find warmth in the memories of his past as the seasons changed. Derpel faced new obstacles. Winter brought biting cold and snow that
مرت
blanketed
السنين
the
وصار
ground,
الثلج نزل.
making it difficult for him to find food. His wings, though strong, were not used to the chill,
لازم يصير إياهم
and he
شكله.
had to seek shelter in caves or under large overhangs to stay warm. Spring offered some respite
يسوي؟
with its milder weather and the return of some greenery. But it also brought rains that turned the paths into mud and streams into raging torrents that were dangerous to cross. During his travels,
وش هاي
Derpel
الحوش دي؟
learned to adapt. He discovered which plants were edible and how to catch fish from the
Okay.
streams. He grew adept at navigating by the stars and learned the patterns of the weather. Each
صار يعتمد على
obstacle he
نفسه يا
overcame
شباب.
made him stronger and more resilient.
وصار أقوى
But the ache
وأكثر
of
مرونة.
loneliness
لكن
never
ألم
left
الوحدة لم
him.
يتركه أبدا.
One day,
في أحد الأيام
during a particularly
أثناء
harsh
عاصفة
storm,
قاسية بشكل خاص.
Derpel found shelter in a large cave
واو.
hidden
شاف
behind
له
a
مأوى.
waterfall. Inside,
دخل
something
هناك.
magical was about
في
to
شيء سحري
happen.
هنا
A
بيصير.
strange musical sound was coming from the cave,
أوكي.
reminding Derpel of his colorful past. Curiosity overcoming his weariness, Derpel explored the cave and discovered it was not just a place of refuge, but a gateway to something
بوابة
new.
لشيء ما.
Painted on the walls were intricate murals depicting dragons and strange symbols that seemed to dance in the flickering light of his fire. Derpel touched the symbols. The music grew louder, and a sense of hope stirred within him. A magical cloud of melodies covered him. He was no longer in the sad world he lived in. Derpel found himself
What?
in a colorful world. Derpel was forever in the world of Sprunki.
واو صار في عالم سبرونكي. قصة وين ذا رهيبة شكلها مرة يا شباب. فنقول بسم الله يلا قصة وين ذا.
Wenda was not always in the world of Sprunki. This is her sad
هذه قصتها
origin
الحزينة.
story.
قصة وين ذا الحزينة.
In the stark expanse of a city,
اوكي اول شيء كانت في
that
عالم
never
واقعي.
seemed to sleep.
كانت قطوة.
Wenda was a small white kitten. She
كانت قطوة
lived
بيضة.
with a nice family.
ايوه.
They loved her, and she loved them. They took care of her, feeding her,
الله.
playing games together, taking her to school, to playgrounds, to the lake, buying her everything she
المشاهد.
needed, celebrating her birthdays. She was living the dream. However, what she did not know is that her life was about to change. One day,
One day.
her owners decided to go on a trip away from home.
Okay.
Taking Wenda with them, everything was going fine,
Hello.
and everyone was happy
Nice.
until Wenda was playing around.
ايوه.
She saw a cute little butterfly
ايوه.
and decided to follow her around,
اوكي شكلها
playing with
بتضيع.
her.
كانت
At
تلعب.
that moment, her owners decided to leave, not knowing
لا
that Wenda was not in the car.
مشوا عنها.
That day,
ضاعت.
she got lost. Forever. Wenda, the cute little kitten, found herself utterly alone in a scary, dark, city.
الليل قامت تمشي في المدينة.
Her days were an endless challenge, each moment a battle for survival. She navigated the maze of cold, shadowy streets, where the clatter and clang of the city drowned out her soft muse. Wenda's life was a series of obstacles from the very beginning. Food was scarce, and the scraps she did find were fiercely contested by other strays who roamed the alleys. Many times she was chased away by larger, fiercer animals, her tiny legs carrying her to safety under the narrow crevice of an old rusted gate. Here, in the small pocket of shadow, she would lick her wounds and gather her strength for another try. As the seasons changed, so did her challenges. Winter brought with it biting winds that seemed to pierce through her thin coat, chilling her to the bone. She learned to pad silently behind the bustling crowds, seeking warmth from the fleeting closeness of hurried footsteps, and finding shelter in discarded boxes that swayed with the wind, barely enough to shield her from the snow. When the rains came, they flooded her makeshift shelters, the water seeping into her fragile refuge and forcing her to seek new haven. She climbed perilously high into the crevices of old buildings where the wind howled, but the rain couldn't reach. It was during one such storm that Wenda discovered an overturned bin, its contents spilled like treasure on the wet pavement. Among the items, she found a wet, half-eaten sandwich. That became her food for the next few days. Despite these hardships, Wenda's spirit never waned. Her curiosity and motivation for life were not changed by the harshness of her surroundings. She found joy in small things. A discarded bottle cap became a toy, its shiny surface reflecting the city's dim lights as she battered it along the puddled sidewalks. It was on a particularly harsh night when the chill seemed unbearable, and Wenda felt the weight of her loneliness more acutely than ever that she stumbled upon the old antique shop. Inside, hidden among shadows and cobwebs, she found the music box. Its surface was worn but beautifully carved with images of a world far more colorful and inviting than hers.
يا شباب هذا اللي يحكي القصة.
The box released a melody so pure and enchanting that Wenda felt a stir of hope as the music played. It seemed to wrap around her a warm, glowing light.
مجرد إنه يسمع الموسيقى يا شباب خلاص.
With each note, the harsh grey world of
شافت
the city
الميوزك بوكس شغلتها.
And in its place, something extraordinary happened.
وعلى طول انتقلت.
Was no longer in the cold city. She was somewhere else.
على طول انتقلت في عالم سبرنكي.
A place where music filled the air. Colors dazzled the eyes.
الشخصيات كلها
and every
موجودة.
creature moved in harmony. This was Sprunki.
ولا
a
دول
world of
الكابوس.
rhythm where she will live
بلاك.
her whole life. Grey Sprunki, the sad story
الجراي بعد.
of a lonely character
قصة الجراي بعد.
in a world without color. Everything was just shades of grey. He lived alone
والقصة
in a
الجراي.
quiet, abandoned town. Once full of life and color. Now, all that remained were silent, gray buildings. Gray was sad, not just because he was gray, but because he was alone. He wondered, was he sad because he was gray, or gray because he was sad? Every day, he sat by a lake, throwing pebbles into the water, watching the ripples disturb his reflection. He longed for a friend, for someone to share his gray world. But as time passed, his hope faded, like the missing colors. Still, Gray showed strength in his solitude, holding on even when everything else had let go. Sprunki Black was not
قصة
always
سبرانكي بلاك بعد.
like this.
Oh my god.
This is his sad
والله كل واحد
Origin.
قصته.
story. In a land of rhythms and beats, where the Sprunkies thrived on their musical prowess, lived a character named Black, his appearance as dark as shadowy corners. Unlike his vibrant counterparts, Black wore no colors,
Yep.
only a top hat and a white tie, standing taller and slimmer, a silent silhouette from his earliest days. He was different. His somber appearance set him apart. Often overlooked by the lively Sprunkies, he found solace in his own company, wandering the outskirts of their musical haven,
دائما يدور لحاله هو.
tunes that whispered of his
يدور على
loneliness.
الموسيقى والألحان.
Tragedy struck with a
يؤلف هو بعد.
profound loss, details shrouded in mystery, leaving an indelible mark on his soul. His music, rarely heard, held the depth of his emotions, notes tinged with melancholy, longing for what once was. In his story, we find not just sadness, but beautiful resilience. Black continued to create, his music a vessel for his unspoken grief, a bridge to those few who would listen. In the quietude of his existence, Black teaches us, even in solitude, beauty can be found.
Yup.
Even the most silent voices can resonate deeply. This is the story of Black, a tale
الله.
of solitude
الحين
and
البلاك
the
يا شباب
silent
اللي
strength found
صار
in
متوحش.
enduring sadness. Pinky was not
Pinky?
always like this.
هم بنكي يخوف.
In the lively world of Incredibox's Sprunki mod, Pinky was a beloved character, known for her cheerful songs and her bright pink fur, always adorned with a magenta bow. Her voice brought joy to everyone,
كلهم
and her
يغنوا طبعا.
kindness made her a favorite among the Sprunki. She shared a special bond with her friend Oren, and together
اوكي صديقها
they
اورن
created some of the happiest melodies in their world.
مع بعض يسووا
But
الحان
one
رهيبه.
fateful day, everything
لك في يوم من الايام
changed.
يوم مشؤوم تغير شيء.
Wenda, another Sprunki, overcome with envy, attacked Pinky in a fit of rage.
وندع اعتدت عليهم.
Left her face disfigured, with crooked teeth and sad bloodshot eyes. The once cheerful Pinky now bore the scars of betrayal and pain. Her relationship
صارت
with
خيانة
Oren
بينه
grew
وبين
distant, and her world seemed to lose its vibrant color. Despite the tragedy,
والله مشاكل.
Pinky's spirit remained unbroken. She continued to sing, her melodies now carrying a bittersweet tune of hope and resilience. Though her appearance had changed, her inner beauty and kindness shone brighter than ever. Pinky became a symbol of strength in the face of hardship, showing everyone that even in the darkest times, there is room for light and love.
انتهت. اكتب تحت في التعليقات أي أكثر قصة عجبتك. بالنسبة لي أنا يا شباب تقريبا كنت محتار بين الأورن والويندا، وأحس الويندا قصتها أفضل بالنسبة لي. أنت إيش القصة اللي عجبتك أكثر؟ اكتب تحت في التعليقات. لا تنسى اللايك الآن والاشتراك وتتأكد تفعل جرس التنبيهات، ومع السلامة.